the boomerang of the abyss, a covenant of fire and shadow. I have come to perceive the world not merely as a chaotic assembly of disconnected events, but as a cosmic mechanism of terrifying and absolute precision. I have come to call this intricate design the boomerang of the abyss. This is not a truth unearthed from the hallowed halls of academia, but a profound realization forged in the crucible of lived experience, observing firsthand the machinations of those I perceive as assholes and vampires. These individuals I have seen stand precariously on the precipice of the spiritual void, spewing forth self-styled witchcraft, their insidious spells, and their venomous evil intent into the ether, arrogantly believing in their own potent capabilities, envisioning themselves as the apex predators of existence. However, their vision is catastrophically myopic. They remain utterly oblivious to the inexorable parabolic arc of their own destructive actions. They fail to grasp that the abyss to which they so fervently dedicate their energies possesses an inherent geometry, a set of immutable laws that dictate the inevitable return of all projected forces to their source, amplified in velocity and impact. The cosmic symmetry operates with mathematical precision. The amplitude of malice directed outward determines the force with which it returns, while the trajectory of intent charts the exact path of its homecoming. This is not poetic justice, but ontological necessity, as fundamental to the architecture of reality as gravity is to the physical universe. This principle extends far beyond the realm of mere superstition. It is, in fact, the fundamental and inescapable gravitational force of the moral universe. The ancient wisdom of the Psalms resonates with this truth, declaring, "He made a pit and digged it, and has fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate." This poetic declaration underscores a profound cosmic principle. Those who labor to ensnare others often find themselves trapped within their own contrivances. They meticulously construct the instruments of their own downfall. My own conviction on this matter is not born of intellectual detachment, but from a deep, visceral wellspring of both profound fear and reverential awe. I approach the ancient scriptures not as archaic relics or mere allegorical tales, but as a living historical and theological testament to divine justice, a record so potent that it sends shivers down my very spine. When I contemplate the concept of divine wrath and the ultimate fate of those who audaciously defy him, I must confess that no prospect fills me with greater terror. This sentiment finds a stark echo in the Quran, which warns in Surah Al-Imran, "Do not think that those who exult in what they have brought about and love to be praised for what they have not done, do not think they will escape the punishment. For them is a painful punishment." The convergence of these sacred texts across different traditions points to a universal recognition of this cosmic law, transcending cultural and historical boundaries, to reveal an underlying truth about the nature of moral causality. This pervasive fear, rather than being a debilitating weakness, serves as the very genesis of my wisdom. It is the dawning realization that moral transgressions are not trivial missteps, but possess a cosmic weight, an enduring significance that resonates throughout existence. When I articulate that I harbor no desire to ever stand as the recipient of Father Yahweh's formidable wrath, I am, in essence, acknowledging a continuity of consequence that utterly transcends the limited jurisdiction of human legal systems. The Epistle to the Hebrews powerfully conveys this sentiment. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. My allegiance to Team Jesus Christ of Nazareth is not predicated upon a claim of personal perfection, but upon the profound understanding that in the absence of his divine protection, I am utterly vulnerable, exposed to the unbridled fury of the spiritual storm. I have personally endured the brutal gut punch of worldly adversity, and I am acutely aware that my soul's sanctuary lies in absolute alignment with the holy will. This alignment is not merely a psychological comfort, but a metaphysical positioning, a deliberate orientation of my being toward the ultimate source of reality. It represents a conscious choice to harmonize with the fundamental principles that govern existence rather than to stand in opposition to them. Such alignment does not guarantee freedom from suffering, but it ensures that suffering serves a transformative purpose rather than a destructive one. In my quest to comprehend this intricate cosmic mechanism, I have found invaluable guidance within the philosophical framework of the Stoics. Their teachings have furnished me with a rational scaffolding upon which to anchor my inintuitive visceral understanding. They articulate the concept of the logos, the inherent rational order that permeates the entire cosmos. Consequently, when an individual intentionally projects malice into the world, they are not merely perpetuating an offense against another sentient being. They are, in essence, launching a direct assault upon the very fabric of reality itself. It is akin to hurling a stone with the intent of shattering the sky. The sky, being fundamentally inviolable, remains unbroken. The stone, by the unyielding laws of physics, must inevitably descend, returning to the one who cast it. This is the profound physics of the soul. This principle is eloquently captured in the wisdom of Solomon. For the creation, serving thee the Creator, is strained against the unrighteous for punishment. The Stoic conception of the Logos provides a rational framework for understanding moral causality, revealing that ethical actions are not merely social conventions, but expressions of harmony with the rational order of the universe. To act against this order is to create a tension that must inevitably resolve itself, often at the expense of the transgressor. The boomerang effect is thus not supernatural intervention, but the natural restoration of equilibrium within the cosmic order. By consciously choosing to live in accordance with this natural, rational order, I have come to understand that those who engage in wickedness do not wield true power. Rather, they are engaged in a process of profound self destruction. Their actions represent a fundamental deviation from the Logos, an unnatural breach of cosmic law, as the Book of Sirach advises in Sirach 4:36. Winnow not with every wind, and go not into every way, for so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue. Consequently, I now observe their endeavors not with fear, but with a profound sense of pity, recognizing that the very blow they intend to inflict upon me is already tracing its inevitable trajectory back toward them. This ancient wisdom is further corroborated by Sirach 3:11. For he that casteth a stone on high casteth it on his own head. What appears as power in the moment of transgression reveals itself as weakness in the fullness of time. The malicious will, in its attempt to dominate and destroy, unwittingly participates in its own undoing. This is not merely poetic justice, but the logical consequence of attempting to operate against the grain of reality. Just as a swimmer who fights against the current exhausts themselves more rapidly than one who flows with it, those who struggle against the moral order of the universe deplete their own resources and undermine their own foundations. Furthermore, the philosophical insights of Neoplatonism have significantly deepened my comprehension of my own spiritual security. This school of thought posits that evil is not a positive force, but rather a privation, a deficiency of being, akin to a shadow attempting to vanquish the sun. Those labeled assholes are, in this view, merely empty vessels desperately attempting to siphon light from external sources. However, because I have consciously and deliberately aligned myself with the source, the ultimate foundational reality, the radiant light of Christ, their inherent darkness is rendered powerless, incapable of breaching the ontological integrity of my soul. This concept finds powerful expression in the Gospel of John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The Neoplatonic understanding of evil as privation provides a metaphysical explanation for the impotence of malevolence against those aligned with the good. If evil is not a positive reality, but an absence or distortion of the good, then it cannot ultimately prevail against that which is fully aligned with being itself. This is not merely a religious assertion, but an ontological fact. The derivative cannot overcome the original. The shadow cannot extinguish the light that casts it. My security is thus not a matter of superior strength in conventional terms, but of fundamental alignment with the source of all strength. This is not a matter of arcane magic, but a fundamental principle of ontological hierarchy. Existence, in its fullest sense, possesses an intrinsic strength that non-existence cannot assail. When I stand firmly upon my ground of stone, their attempts at cursing me are rendered as impotent as shadows attempting to extinguish a sunbeam. These malevolent energies pass through me unhindered, because there is no void within me, no darkness for them to attach themselves to. The apocryphal book of Enoch vividly illustrates this principle concerning the fallen watchers. They have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. The wicked individuals of the present era are, in their own way, repeating this primordial error, polluting themselves with the sorcery of control, deluding themselves into believing they are divine entities, all the while remaining tragically unaware that they are inexorably binding themselves in chains of darkness, as described by Jude in his epistle. Their pursuit of power through manipulation and control represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of true power, which lies not in domination, but in alignment with the principles that govern reality. What they perceive as strength is actually weakness, and what they dismiss as weakness, submission to the divine order, is actually the source of indomitable strength. This profound understanding illuminates why my focus remains steadfast on fusing with the incorporeal, selfless nature of God. It represents the sole impregnable fortress capable of withstanding the insidious encroachment of evil's privation. The psalmist's timeless declaration in Psalm 91, verses 1 to 2, resonates deeply. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. This fusion is not a passive state, but an active process of continual alignment, a conscious choice renewed in each moment to orient myself toward the ultimate source of being. It requires vigilance against the subtle temptations to prioritize the ego, to seek control rather than surrender, to choose fear over love. The secret place is not a physical location, but an inner orientation, a state of consciousness that recognizes the ultimate reality beyond the transient appearances of the material world. It is within this orientation that true security is found, not in the absence of external threats, but in the presence of an internal connection to that which cannot be threatened. Finally, the rigorous ethical and logical framework established by Immanuel Kant has illuminated for me the sheer logical inevitability of their ultimate downfall. The will of the wicked, by its very nature, is fundamentally irrational because it operates in a state of perpetual internal conflict. Their actions and desires are inherently at war with themselves. They seek to dismantle and destroy the very systems of life and interconnectedness that sustain their own existence. Their modus operandi involves treating other sentient beings merely as instruments to achieve their own selfish ends, thereby flagrantly violating the categorical imperative, the cornerstone of universal moral law. A will that cannot be universally applied without contradiction is a will that is structurally unsound, akin to constructing a building upon a foundation riddled with irreparable cracks. The book of Proverbs sagely observes in Proverbs 4, verse 19, "The way of the wicked is as darkness, they know not at what they stumble." The Kantian analysis reveals the inherent logical contradiction within malevolent intent. To will evil is to will a state of affairs that, if universalized, would undermine the very conditions necessary for the will itself to operate. It is to simultaneously depend upon and seek to destroy the rational order that makes willing possible. This contradiction is not merely a theoretical problem, but a practical one that manifests in the gradual self-destruction who persist in evil. Their downfall is not arbitrary punishment, but the logical working out of the contradictions inherent in their own position. Through this accumulated wisdom, I have come to the profound realization that personal vengeance is not only unnecessary, but counterproductive. My only true course of action is to patiently observe the unfolding of cosmic justice. As the divine word states, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." Their self-inflicted destruction is not a matter of chance, but a logical and inevitable consequence derived directly from their own self-serving premises. They are, in essence, walking contradictions, and the fundamental nature of reality itself is to resolve such contradictions. The Quran echoes this sentiment in Surah An-Naml, "And thus are their houses ruined because they were unjust." This relinquishment of the desire for personal vengeance represents not passive resignation, but active trust in the inherent justice of the cosmic order. It is the recognition that my own attempts to right wrongs through retribution would only entangle me in the same cycles of negativity that I seek to transcend. By stepping back from the role of avenger, I allow the consequences of actions to unfold, without adding my own contribution to the cycle of harm. This patience is not inaction, but a higher form of action, a conscious choice to align with the ultimate justice that operates beyond human manipulation. Therefore I stand here, a profoundly flawed human being, yet one who has successfully navigated the treacherous labyrinth of worldly scams and deceptive double talk. I have consciously ceased my struggle against ephemeral shadows and have instead dedicated my focus to engaging with the eternal light. I have discovered my sanctuary not within the confines of a physical structure, but within the impregnable fortress of the Absolute. When I turn my gaze upon those who relentlessly project their malice into the world, I no longer perceive them as formidable enemies to be feared, but rather as tragic figures who have inadvertently positioned themselves directly in the path of their own returning boomerangs. My perception has shifted from fear to compassion, recognizing that their apparent power is actually profound vulnerability. Their malevolence is not strength but weakness, not freedom but bondage. In their attempt to harm others, they have unwittingly harmed themselves most deeply, severing their connection to the source of all genuine power and joy. This shift in perception does not diminish my vigilance against evil, but it transforms the emotional quality of that vigilance from reactive fear to proactive compassion. I am secure, I am divinely protected. This truth is powerfully affirmed in Isaiah 54, verse 17. "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the inviolable heritage bestowed upon the faithful servants of the Lord. It is within this holy fear of the divine, this reverential awe of God's omnipotence and justice, that I have discovered the only true and lasting peace, a peace that surpasses all worldly understanding, a peace that the world, in its transient, fickle nature, can neither bestow nor ultimately take away. Jesus' own words, as recorded in John 14, verse 27, offer solace. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. This peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of an unshakable connection to the source of all being. It is the profound recognition that, regardless of external circumstances, my essential nature remains untouched by the vicissitudes of worldly experience. In this recognition lies the ultimate freedom, not freedom from the consequences of physical existence, but freedom from the tyranny of fear that those consequences might otherwise impose. The boomerang of the abyss, with its immutable laws of moral causality, becomes not a source of anxiety, but a foundation of confidence, assuring me that the ultimate arc of reality bends toward justice, and that my alignment with this arc guarantees my ultimate security. Zerga, in profound synthesis with the timeless wisdom of the ancient scriptures and the enduring insights of the philosophers,